Thanks for clicking on the part 2 of the video discussion overlooking the signals and the key features over the hemisphere. Like I was saying in the previous video, that the strongly positive Arctic oscillation is all keeping that polar vortex very strong indeed, and because of the lack of blocking across the hemisphere, the middle latitudes has got a very zonal, ocean-driven pattern. So both across North America, you've got a very Pacific air, dominating the pattern across the lower 48 of the United States. You've got all that cold air all bottled up north over northern and central parts of Canada, and it's the same for Europe as well. The majority of Europe is driven by air that's flowing off the Atlantic and across across the continent, basically. So it's all that cold air is all locked up to the north. But like I was saying, the stratospheric warming that's showing up over Asia is indeed transferring and shifting that polar vortex. That core cold, the coldest air over the northern hemisphere overall, is then over the next 7 days or so, 7 to 10 days, is going to all push across the pole in a type of cross-polar fashion, and it will all be bottled up over to the north and over Greenland. So you're going to see severe cold over central and the interior ice cap of Greenland. But all that cold air, until we see that stratosphere warm over the pole, across on top of that pole and spreading out the way, then that cold that's all bottled up, built up over the past few months. Folks, what I'm concerned about here is the potential with that cold. Now, of course, last year we've seen the cold hit in November, and in the December itself was, of course, the worst of the winter last year here in this part of Europe. But certainly, what's interesting is actually by this time last year, the worst of the winter was over actually for the UK. We've seen very, very little in the way of cold, true cold anyway, during the month of January, February and March. Of course, in 2009 and 10, we've seen the severe cold early part of January. We've seen, of course, a white Christmas, a cold period during the latter part of December into the first part of January, and then repeat shots of very cold weather in the February as well as March as well. I certainly recall back to temperatures of -10 even in March in 2010. But certainly until we see that major stratospheric warming event, we're not going to see that truly Arctic air reach the mid-latitudes of the world, so to speak. North America will remain Pacific-driven, as well as Europe being Atlantic-driven. But certainly there's many things to be looking at here, folks, and like I keep saying, I do believe at some point shortly, over the next few weeks, we will start to see an alteration with the overall hemisphere-wide pattern. And we also could see shots of cold and snow as well. You've got a pretty wavy pattern over the Atlantic as well. So of course those weather systems that drift underneath that cold, if you've got a wavy pattern, if an Atlantic storm system can cross Ireland and UK and connect up with the cold to the north, then like we've seen last weekend and we've seen a couple of times earlier in the month, you'll get that cold meeting up with the moisture of the system and the circulation within that system. As those systems then push across Ireland and UK, the circulation around it pulls in the cold air from Greenland and Iceland, and therefore we see that snowfall. So even though we've got a very positive NAO and Arctic oscillation, there is still room for shots of cold air and snow in this pattern. But I'm certainly going to be looking for those big changes. I really encourage you to check back to my January forecast, of course, issued on Christmas Day, and keep checking back to the blog. I will try to keep you up to date as much as possible. Thanks for watching. Have a good evening, folks. Bye-bye.